What crisis are they going to throw at us? And I believe it's going to be a credit event, period. A lot of people saying it's going to be a nuclear or it's going to be, no. It'll be a credit event because that will hit everyone. Transactions will stop. Debit cards don't work. No access to your cash. Again, this is what they're going to do.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and these are the Miles Franklin weekly specials for November 10th through November 17th, 2025, while supplies last. First this week, 2025 1-ounce silver Canadian maples are just $6.75 over spot. Next, our choice 1-ounce palladium bars are only $199 over spot. Finally, pre-1933 BU $20 Saint Gaudens coins are only $99 over melt per coin. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Welcome back to Liberty and Finance. We're delighted to have a wildly popular returning guest, Gregory Mannarino, known as the Robin Hood of Wall Street, joins us this Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Greg, thanks for coming back on Liberty and Finance.
Thanks for having me, man. Love your show. Love you. Let's do it.
Our viewers and subscribers love it when we have you on here because you have your heart in the right place. You're there for the real, the little guy against the forces that are trying to take away our our financial futures for our individual families and our communities and our beloved country. You helped people to see what steps we can take right now to educate ourselves and keep our eyes open and connect the dots so that we don't have the wool pulled over our eyes. Right now, we're talking about a lot of concern of systemic risk in our financial lives. And I wanted to ask you a question that's one that I think you've dealt with a lot on your channel. How do you currently assess the levels of systemic risk in global financial markets, and what indicators do you monitor most closely to gauge potential triggers for a systemic event?
Let's start off with this. We are in a systemic event right now. The entire financial system is being propped up by the same three mechanisms that are wiping out our economy. I don't know how many people here that are following your work or even mine actually understand what's happening. Small businesses today are collapsing at twice the pace they were last year. The mainstream media doesn't even want to talk about it. It's all being covered over, but I urge people to look this up for themselves. It's a wipeout on an epic scale. Our industry is dying. Our nation is dying. The middle class is being systematically eradicated in something. This is what you and I have been talking about for 1,000 years, and it's really in our face. The mechanisms are very simple. Again, currency devaluation on the back of artificially suppressed rates and vast debt expansion, economic wrecking machine of the highest order, but it does foster this illusion of the market. Just yesterday, another record high for the market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average just happens to be the average that you see NBC, your Fox Business, or your Bloomberg's, and they want you to focus on the Dow 30. Gregory Mannarino really looks at the driver of all of it. You know that. What do we have? Again, this. I really want people to do their own research on what I'm about to say, because I get a lot of pushback on this. And this is the only reason for that is people are not doing their own homework. The Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury have now merged into the lenders and buyers of last resort. When you have a mechanism of rates being artificially suppressed, who wants your debt? Nobody wants your debt. No one wants our dollars. So the mechanism of keeping rates artificially suppressed and further from here, this is what we're hearing from our president these days, and of course his favorite Fed president, Myron, who probably is going to be the next Fed chair, more currency devaluation on the back of artificially suppressed rates. So it makes, the Fed and the Treasury here, the lenders and buyers of last resort. There's nobody left here. Natural buyers of U.S. debt are gone. I'm talking about foreign governments, pension funds, etc. So you got this mechanism. What's happening is obviously a complete management of the yield curve, and that is fostering this rip higher in the stock market, but it's all an illusion, and it's just a matter of where is that wealth actually coming from to prop it up, and it's coming right out of the economy. Everyone knows it. It's an incredible mechanism, and I think people are starting to wake up, at least I hope so, on a grander scale. that things are not going the way that they believe that they would, regardless of the changing of the guard behind the resolute test. They could put a farm animal there. It won't make any difference. I've been telling people that like since forever. But Greg Mannarino looks at the debt market, man. It's no secret. I don't care. I really don't care at all what the Dow does, what the S&P does, or what the NASDAQ is going to do, what people speculate these things are going to do, because the debt market is going to tell us everything we need to know. And I've been trying to tell people or explain, and you probably heard me say this as well, that every asset class, I don't care what it is, first of all, there's no real price discovery today behind a single asset. It's all just faked. Again, it's this mechanism of artificially suppressed rates, currency devaluation, and bad debt expansion that everything is pricing off of, quote unquote. So what does that mean for the overall stock markets, which keep climbing higher? It's a derivative. It's deriving the entire world stock markets, not just the one here in the United States, is deriving value from action in the debt market. Therefore, it is the derivative. It's in and of itself, not even talking about the real derivative bets on either side, which are in the quadrillions. It's insane. It's non-quantifiable. Okay, and that goes for currency and everything else in between. So that's all I care about. And the main driver that I look at is the benchmark. It's the 10-year yield. What's it doing? Right now, we're stuck in a range. We're above 4%. It's not going to stay there. It's dropping lower. The dollar, we know it's not going to continue to have even the purchasing power it has now. We still have a president screaming from rooftops that the dollar's not weak enough. We still have a president screaming that the rates are not low enough. And the Fed is following suit here again. It's an incredible thing to witness here. Now we're hearing about these dividend checks. Dividends for what? Look, people are too, I don't know what it is, lazy or whatever it might be, to do their own research. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the U.S. Treasury, we've taken in at a maximum of $195 billion with regard to tariffs, where Trump is revenue. What he's talking about is now these $2,000 dividend checks going to cost us $400 billion. And where's the difference coming from? Well, the Federal Reserve, of course it is. It's just all a deception on a scale I've never seen in my life. And I was no fan of Joe Biden, and I really didn't like the man or his policy. But this guy, he was selected for a reason. There was no election, as we all know that. And just in case people are now wondering, these are the guys that Trump is going to be meeting with here. He's scheduling a nice gala dinner here for J.P. Morgan, Diamond, and other Wall Street CEOs, the banks. And everyone knows, they don't have our best interest in mind at all. It's going to be more of the same. We'll wipe out the economy faster. And I also believe, and it's already starting, the propaganda machine, the scripted so-called experts on their shows here, the panels where they don't ask a freaking question. It's an unbelievable thing. And I do it all the time. I see, like, for example, let's say I'm on CNBC. What are they talking about? Either simultaneously or within a half an hour, they have different guests, same narrative, same conclusion. It's all faked, including the data, which we really don't even know what's going on here. But we did find out that last month we lost. They let us know that the U.S. economy lost 11,250 jobs per week. That's what they're allowing us to know. So, guys, look, I'm sitting here preaching to the choir, and you know this better than anybody, but that's where we stand, man. Just people got to get themselves on the right side of this and wake the freak up.
When you talk about watching the debt market for the first signs of instability, do you believe that central banks have been intentionally engineering instability to consolidate control by then presenting the solution to the problem that they created? Or are the current risks, in your view, primarily the result of policy failures and market distortions?
Well, they've got us exactly where they want us to be. Again, now with this unholy merger between the Treasury and the Fed here buying it all, this is a position of power that no collective entity should have. And what they're doing here is a raping of America, driving us into the ground, our economy, our middle class, our small businesses. And again, this double the pace of last year closures. This is going to accelerate here. The corporate agenda is obviously in play. This is why Trump is having all these Wall Street CEOs go over there. They are the happiest people on the face of the earth here. With artificially suppressed rates, they can, roll over their debt cheaply. They can buy back shares of their own stock for next to nothing here. But you see, this is something that U.S. small business, they don't have a lifeline like that. And they're being systematically eradicated. It's an erasure. And our industry, again, we were supposed to bring back manufacturing, priority one. What's happening to our industry is dying by the same mechanism as well. The country is being reshaped, obviously. The fact is they're wiping out the middle class. They need them to become even more dependent on the current system as they switch us over to the new one, which has already been signed into law, the Stablecoin Token Act, the Genius Act, stablecoin tokens, privatizing the financial system. It's an unbelievable thing, completely unconstitutional, but it just got signed into law just for July by President Trump here. He doesn't care about the Constitution at all. Neither do the vast majority of his fanatical supporters who, like, how could you support this guy? I have no idea. Hasn't done anything that he said he would do. But meanwhile, again, they just keep instead of calling him out, they won't do it. But they were sure as hell called Biden out. And I'm not supporting this guy. I don't belong to no party. I don't have a dog in this fight. So I don't really give a damn. But the fact is, this guy is destroying us from within faster. And as this thing unfolds faster, as it is destabilized, as you just talked about, the destabilization is the economy, is the middle class, is the small. It's right in our face here. Who's benefiting from this? The 1% to 2%ers, the elite, the globalists here. They're loving this. This is the quote unquote golden age for them. For everybody else, they're on the losing side.
In a systemic collapse scenario, as you've watched, you've told us you're keeping an eye on with your Mannarino market risk indicator and so on. You can tell us about that. Which asset classes or markets do you believe are the most vulnerable to fail first, or they're likely to be the leading indicators, and which would be likely the last to fall, or actually safe havens?
Oh, well, this is easy, man. Look, cash moves through these markets in predictable patterns. It is not random, as you would expect. Most people think the markets are random. Everything is just random. No, if we realize that certain dynamics are in play, for example, rate suppression, near currency devaluation, best debt expansion, cash will move into particular asset classes. In this case, it's going to come out of things that where it should be actually going into right now. And I'm talking about, commodities pretty much across the board, none more so than gold and silver, going into the stock market, creating massive distortions. This market today, in my view, is 6 times overvalued, 6 times. It will reach a fair value at one particular time. There's no doubt about it. But, this is really easy. The way I look at it for people is I realize that, again, we all should realize here that this rate suppression cycle is being done on purpose to foster the illusion of the market's end. And not just the illusion, it's becoming real for some people here, the rich, who owns 90+% of the entire stock markets of the world, believe it or not, is a fraction of the population. It's the 1% and 2%ers. They own 90+% of it. They're benefiting from this. They're the ones that are going to be out first. But you see, we do what we all should be doing here. We're going to see again is the real bomb, the time bomb is, again, the debt market. What are we going to see visually at a time, and how can we use this as a tell? I'm talking about, again, the 10-year yield. When the debt market starts to sell off in an uncontrolled fashion, it's normal for the 10-year yield to bounce around in a range. But we are going to see the 10-year yield on one day jump 20, 30, 40, 50 basis points. And that's going to be the clue. We got to get ready to get out of here. And in succession, another 20, 30, 40 the next day, and then maybe a stabilization. This is going to be the tell when it's time, when the debt market is finally imploding. But again, they're not going to let it do that. I don't think they're done. I believe that they must create more dependency on the current system. We are going to see further rate suppression, further currency devaluation, a much tougher situation for people who try to make ends meet as they need to create slaves to the current system. So when they roll out the new one, again, it's going to be the same thing. Problem, reaction, solution. It's always the same. So again, realizing that, cash doesn't grow little money wings and fly away to money heaven or cash heaven. How is this going to work out? When we have a sell-off in the debt market, like I'm talking about, the polar opposite of what we've been seeing with the suppressed rates causing record high in the stock market. So just flip that around. Massive pressure. And I can't stress that enough. Massive pressure on the stock market. And again, the cash bleeding out of the debt market, bleeding out of the stock market is just going to go into other asset classes. And then, everyone knows my favorite asset of all time is physical silver. Gold comes in second, platinum, palladium. I even love copper as well. And I believe also we're going to see the entire market cap of cryptocurrencies balloon. And then that'll reverse too. You have to, but I think what people lose sight of is in a crash scenario, in this kind of a scenario that I'm outlining, it's always the same. Everyone runs to the door at the same time here, trying to sell whatever assets they have. Let's say it's a stock XYZ or ETF XYZ. All right, I'm willing to sell it, but I'll only take this. So they go in there in their little trading room and they put in a limit order. Okay, I'm willing to sell it, but I'm only going to take this, and there's no buyers. So they cancel that. They put in a limit order, and then all of a sudden, when they find no buyers, the fear and the panic starts to build, and then everyone goes off the same side of the ship, and they start putting in market orders, and we'll take basically anything, and the whole thing just craters exactly at an extremely rapid pace. So look, man, people that have been in this market have been following my work here, even with Bitcoin and stuff, have done incredibly well. Never wrong to pull profits. If you think, look, man, you got Warren Buffett. There's a lot of people who believe, Warren Buffett is in a different, he's not even in the same world as we are. And he's dumping stocks. Everyone knows it. Hey, Greg, how come you're telling people to stay along the stock market when Buffett's dumping everything? I have no idea what's in Buffett's head. Buffett is an insider of the highest order. He can't let it be known that, he's got to do this. We all know where this is eventually going to go. But again, I don't have to guess. There's no guessing here as to where the market's going to go or how we're going to see price action distortions across the spectrum of asset classes, because we realize that rates are going to remain artificially suppressed more so than we have now, along with further currency devaluation on the back of that and vested expansion. So this is an incredible opportunity for people who just realize where to put their cash to work to stay ahead of the curve, because we're being wiped the freak out. This is literally an extinction level event for the middle class and our economy, of course.
One of the first casualties has been our freedom and privacy, as there's been a pivot away from traditional constitutional money, as you've talked about several times. Why don't we have a constitutional money president rather than a crypto president? Because the question is, from your standpoint, how real is the threat to private property rights, including financial assets, in the face of increasing surveillance, regulation, and the potential CBDC rollout, such as you mentioned, being maybe brought out under a different wolf in sheep's clothing under the Genius Act?
I believe they're setting up a situation here where people will become so desperate, again, as this thing continues to be destroyed from within, as we continue to be collapsed. The economy is collapsing. Henceforth, look, the government shut down here. You can't really know what that is going on. Interesting play here, but no one should be surprised how the airports, let's just put this together in the bigger picture. What do? People can't travel. This is the most traveled month of the year. People get together on Thanksgiving to give thanks to God. Well, let's not let them do that. Let's raise their fears, their anxiety. Even if they can get a flight out, let's make them think that maybe they can't get a flight home. Let's keep them separated, divided. Another mechanism like COVID was to keep people separated and divided. But this one is in your face, diabolic. Don't get together with your family. Don't allow them to do it. And make it very difficult for them to do so they can't give praise to God. So keep them separated during Thanksgiving. Don't allow them to talk at the table. Word of mouth is much more powerful than the mainstream media. Don't allow people to talk about the economy. Again, keep them separated, divided. Don't allow them to come together, because that's our strength. So the timing of all this with the airports, and even if they reopen the government today, they're not going to be able to get all the flights and everything aligned till well after Thanksgiving. And Trump knew that. Made sure the timing is obvious. Anyone who can't see that, spiritually disenfranchised, or obviously willfully blind. But that's just too obvious, I think, for most people to understand. But But again, with everything else that you were just talking about here, they want it all. They don't want people to have anything, and they want people to suffer. They're breaking them. They're breaking the economy so they can break the people, to get them to accept anything, even, as you alluded to and we just did too, a corporate-backed, overseen by the Federal Reserve financial system, it's completely unconstitutional. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says that we can have a stablecoin token being issued by a private corporation to be used as currency. It's not there. But again, it got right through. Where was the pushback from Trump supporters? Nowhere. So it's time to push back, and that's how I see it.
That leads to the last question is, in your view, how can individuals and communities push back or build alternatives to centralized monetary systems? Either is it parallel economies, barter networks, local currencies? What are you seeing as alternatives that are realistic for people going forward?
All the stuff you just named, but that's not even our biggest problem. Our biggest problem, again, is what I've been trying to warn people is going to happen for, it seems like, I don't know, 1,000 years now, is a credit freeze, a locking up of the system. And that's going to be at a time of their choice here. This was the real issue in 2008. It wasn't a matter of the stock market, the Dow going from 12 to 6,000, and people, screaming about that. It was the fact that the system runs on credit. Without credit, debt, or fake liquidity being not by production, by digits being added to a screen here, can't last. They know that. It's a demolition. It's a wrecking machine for the economy. Very good for the 1% and 2% is via the cancel-on effect, obviously, via, the mechanism of the stock market being propped up and all that stuff here. But the main issue people need to prepare for is a credit freeze. Yes, from a financial standpoint, in my opinion, there is no better places to be than in hard assets. I will not waver from that. Silver will remain my favorite asset until a time where I can't even imagine it won't be. Again, you need to be outside the system, which includes, again, this is my opinion, and people aren't going to like it. I think people do need to have some exposure to the crypto space. If you had to pick one, I would say Bitcoin. Why? Because it's the mommy. Everybody knows it. I'm not saying it's the best one out there, but it's the one that everybody knows. I own Bitcoin. People know that. I was the guy who came out here at 17.5 telling people to buy it. Got ridiculed for that, saying Greg is telling people to do something they shouldn't be doing. And obviously, it's $105,000 today. We topped out at 127, and it's going much higher. There's no doubt about it. So from a financial standpoint, yeah, you got to be out there. You got to be diversified. You got to be in a lot of things. I don't think the philosophy of being all in one asset works. Maybe in some people's minds, okay, I get it. But if I had to pick one, it would be silver. Period. But I think people need to be diversified. You got to, and for people, not everyone, and I get it, can first of all, the crypto space isn't for everyone. That's fine. The stock market certainly isn't for everyone. That's fine too. Especially, every Saturday on my Freedom platform, I put out credit spreads. I tell people how to play the market. These have been so spot on. Ask anyone who's been trading the trades I've been involved in myself. It's literally a great way to keep your head above water here. I'm not saying everyone should get involved in that. Has no idea what they're doing. There's always risk, but the way I set these up for people is the safest way to trade the market. Instead of being a speculator, the way I set up these credit spreads makes people market makers, and that's the way to make you get paid up front to trade. Anyway, so that's it. So the bottom line is for Greg, and I think for most people, you got to realize that it isn't the markets crashing or even the wealth transfer. It's the fact that they're going to throw us into a lockup of the system, a credit freeze where all transactions stop. Zeros across the screens in your bank account. The only thing that might work, although it would be devalued to an immense degree, would be have some currency. I urge people to have some currency, some cash around. But again, in a moment like that, there's going to be looting. There's going to be pandemonium in the streets, and that's what they're doing. They're looking for a way or an excuse to create a police state. They're already testing it in different states. Trump is like, okay, let's deploy the police here. Let's deploy the police there. Get people used to seeing it. It's all part of the mechanism. They know where we're going. Trump already has the script. He knows what he's supposed to say. And when he does go off script, you can see what happens to him. He gets very confused. People think that he's becoming demented, or I don't think that's the case. I think it's when he goes off script, when he's not reading the teleprompter, he gets confused, doesn't know what to say. They all do it. All presidents do that. They all go from teleprompter to teleprompter. It's interesting how they zoom in on the faces. They don't let people see the teleprompters left, right, and center, of course. If people did, they would be like, well, hold on a minute. Why are they reading a teleprompter? You and me, we're not reading anything. We're sitting here and we're just talking. This is reality. But again, they will maintain the illusion as long as they possibly can. But that's how I see it, man. It's about, look, you know me. Everyone knows me. I've been talking about metals for 1,000 years. I've never, ever once wavered from silver. Period. I think people need it as a financial standpoint. But again, we need to come together as a community because, again, in a lockup situation, this is where we're going, of course, of the credit markets, the debt markets, the flow of credit through the economy will stop. Transactions will stop. Debit cards don't work. No access to your cash. Again, this is what they're going to do. Complete pandemonium. Don't worry, everyone. We have a solution for you. President Trump was smart enough to sign the Genius Act in July. Now we have this stablecoin token system. All the wiring is there, all the laws are there, all the regulations there. It's just what kind of a situation are they going to set up? What crisis, quote unquote, because that's all how we function here in the United States, are they going to throw it as? And I believe it's going to be a credit event, period. A lot of people saying it's going to be a nuclear or it's going to be, no, it'll be a credit event because that will hit everyone, of course, not just the people who are directly affected, but let's say a nuclear explosion or something along those lines. A credit event, it'll hit everyone across the, everyone, upper class, middle class. But the upper class people, they already have outs. They know where this is going here. People who are educated on understanding the dynamics in play, they get it, you get it. The people that follow will get it here. But that's my take on it, man. It's pretty straightforward. I've been saying the same thing for 1,000 years, and I think the way things are unfolding tells me we're not far off from this.
Greg, if people want to follow your work on a daily and weekly basis, I know you publish multiple times per day and on the weekend. Where should they get connected?
Right now, I think people should check me out on Substack. Or you can find me on my website, traderschoice.net. Look, I'm one of the easiest guys to find on the face of the earth. And I think most of the people that follow your work probably follow me already, and that's fine. And they should really be following you because you have some really great guests on your show. And me, I don't know. I'm not for everybody. You know that. I'm a guy who doesn't sugarcoat a thing. And a lot of people don't like that's my style. I'm not going to change. And I just tell it like it is. That's all.
Folks, if you don't want to miss a single episode with Greg, make sure that you know when he's coming on by being on our free mailing list. Just go to libertyandfinance.com. That's our website, all spelled out, all one word, libertyandfinance.com. Put your email address, click submit. It's completely private. We don't share your email address with anyone. We don't spam you. You'll get one email in your inbox per day. It'll have all of our interviews with Greg, any of our other guests, and our weekly specials. You won't miss a thing, but you've got to confirm on the confirming email or you won't be opted in. So make sure you do that. Greg Mannarino, founder of traderschoice.net, and specifically on Substack. What's the name of your Substack?
Me, Gregory Mannarino.
Gregory Mannarino on Substack. Folks, you won't miss a thing by following Greg closely, and you'll also be getting his latest moves that he does on the weekends with his credit spread, so you can see what he's doing there to help out others follow his footsteps. Greg, thanks for joining us again here on Liberty and Finance.
Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to the next one.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and these are the Miles Franklin weekly specials for November 10th through November 17th, 2025, while supplies last. First this week, 2025 1-ounce silver Canadian maples are just $6.75 over spot. Next, our choice 1-ounce palladium bars are only $199 over spot. Finally, pre-1933 BU $20 Saint Gaudens coins are only $99 over melt per coin. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.